Yo, what is going on, guys? Today we are back with another 7-round mock draft. Back-to-back days on the upload grind. Let's go. Chargers, they pick at number 13. What are their biggest needs? I mean, you got to get Justin Herbert help. And you might lose Hunter Henry this offseason. You might lose Hunter Henry. I believe there's other guys, other important players. Melvin Ingram, I don't think is a free agent, but you might cut him, honestly. You might. Depending on what his cap situation is, because he's getting old, and you have guys like Uchenna Nwosu behind him that could take his spot. Guys like, what's his name, the D-tackle. You got Linval Joseph that could be gone soon. I mean, you need help on the O-line. Kyle Pitts goes at number 11. I could see the Giants taking him, honestly, and trying to make Evan Ingram a full-time receiver. That could be possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. Or they make Pitts a receiver and keep Ingram at tight end. I don't know. For the Chargers, though, I'm going to have to go with the best player available, in my opinion. And you look at tackles on the board. You need to protect Justin Herbert. I mean, if Kyle Pitts is there at 13, maybe you consider him if you lose Hunter Henry. Maybe, but I doubt it. You need to go O-line. And I wouldn't take interior at number 13. But you know who is an interior lineman and tackle? And who can fit whatever you need? Rashawn Slater. Now, there's a lot of people hyping up Rashawn Slater. He opted out of the 2020 season, but when you look at his 2019 tape against Ohio State, he was very, very, very good versus Chase Young. He was one of the only linemen in Chase Young's tape that could actually, sustain him. And that has a lot of people, raving about Slater. And there's a lot of hype around him right now. Some hype that he's better than Penei Sewell. Sewell has the higher potential for sure, 100%. But there's some hype right now for Rashawn Slater being better in OT number 1. And he also can play guard. He can play all across the O-line. And if you want to move him to guard or right tackle, and then draft guys like Carmen to play left tackle or Spencer Brown to play right tackle, and you can just build around Rashawn Slater and slide him in wherever you want, I think that's a fairly obvious pick. It's not a fancy pick that you're going to love as Chargers fans, but it's a pick that needs to be made. All right, for this pick for the Chargers, I considered a lot of things because they do have a lot of needs on the defensive side of the ball. You could go interior D lineman and Davion Nixon, who I love a lot. However, I don't think it's the most important need. You could go edge. You could go Jason Owa. I don't think he's the most important need. Linebacker is probably the number 2 need. You have Nick Vigil starting. But Pete Werner, Cameron McGrone, Jabril Cox, not the best options. I mean, they're good, but you'd be more happy if, Chaz Surratt or another linebacker falls here. Then corner. You can go Sean Wade, get a nickel corner. Chris Harris and Casey Hayward are locked up through 2021. But after that, who the heck are your corners? Michael Davis, is he locked up for 2021? If you don't re-sign either of them, you're fucked. So I do think they go corner eventually. I just don't think they go corner in the second round. And then safety, they're fine at. I don't know why I clicked on that. I'm going to be honest. I saw what the Chargers offense was capable of with a terrible O-line. And Wyatt Davis being here at 45, whether you agree with the pick or not, I think after seeing what happened to Joe Burrow and him tearing his ACL, you do everything you can to avoid an injury like that to Herbert. You gotta protect him for the future. If you can get 2 O-linemen to be there for the next 10 years, you have to make those picks. Next year, you can go defense more and more and more, but you need to build the O-line for the next 10 years. And if Wyatt Davis and Rashawn Slater do that for you, you'd have to draft them. For me, the pick is pretty simple. Well, I do like Israel Mukuamu as an outside corner, and they may be losing Casey Hayward and Chris Harris. And Chris Harris can play in the slot. And you can play Mukuamu on the outside day 1. I think you take... actually, no, I may have just talked myself into that. I was going to take Elijah Molden because he's more of a slot corner and he fits in their offense, or in their defense. And they do need corner help. Even if they don't re-sign both those guys, they desperately will need a corner. So, I think actually I talked myself into Mukuamu. He's more of a project. But if he can be your outside corner and then you don't have to re-sign Chris Harris or you don't have to re-sign Casey Hayward or even not re-sign either of them, you need a corner on the outside. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to maybe sign someone in free agency this year to play outside corner the year after. You got to prepare for the future. But Mukuamu for now, I think, is an important pick. I considered Jay Tufele. I really did. There was some good interior D linemen there, but I think if our next pick, we can get an even better interior D lineman. And we do. Now, I know the Chargers may be thinking, oh, we have Linval Joseph, we have Jerry Tillery, you have Justin Jones. Maybe I don't know the Chargers depth chart, but to me, a guy like Marvin Wilson being available in the late third round is a guy with so much potential, and I rave about this guy. He had a bad 2020, but his 2019, he was a top 5 prospect in the draft. Like, he was supposed to be a top 10 overall pick. And now you're getting him in the third round. Players don't just get bad. Like, I'm sorry, you just don't. At his age, you don't just get bad. Like, this dude has talent, and he deserves to be scouted appropriately. I don't know why we're putting so much stock into his 2020 performances when it was a weird season. He may have came in not in shape. Who knows? That's probably poor management on his part if he didn't come in not in shape. But, I mean, in the third round, I'm taking Marvin Wilson for every team that he's available for that needs an interior D lineman. I don't care. With this pick, I consider Daz Newsome, Sage Surratt. Like, I like Sage Surratt a lot, but I don't think he's really a fit in the Chargers offense unless they don't re-sign Mike Williams, but I'm pretty sure they did already, or if they didn't, they should. Okay, so Mike Williams is still on the Chargers for 2021. Hasn't been re-signed yet. In that case, I am going to take Sage Surratt. I like him a lot. He's a physical receiver. He goes up and gets the ball. You can put Keenan Allen in the slot, Mike Williams and Sage Surratt on the outside, or you can keep Keenan Allen on the outside, Sage Surratt on the outside, not re-sign Mike Williams. Sage Surratt is a player, he opted out of the 2020 season, and his stock may have fallen a little bit, because at the beginning of the year, he was probably an early second-round pick. Other guys have jumped him because they played. Poor decision on his part, probably, but maybe it was the right decision for him. Sage Surratt, I like him a lot. All right, the pick here in round 5 to me is going to be Drake Jackson. I talked about him. He should have a good Senior Bowl. And the reason I'm taking him is because you have Mike Pouncey. I'm not sure what his contract's like. Let me check. Okay, so Mike Pouncey is actually a free agent this upcoming season, but if you have him a 1-year deal and let Drake Jackson develop under him, or even take Drake Jackson to start, I don't necessarily love that, but you never know. And, I mean, just getting a center, I mean, Dan Feeney is not good. Drake Jackson, who knows? He can develop into something you like. I like him a lot. Hopefully he has a good Senior Bowl. And that pick, it's pretty easy for me, Malcolm Conce. Any depth at edge is very important, and his value at 194 is more than good. With this pick, we're going to take another corner. Thomas Graham, don't know too much about him, but he aligns outside for the Oregon Ducks, and, I mean, he could play outside or inside at his height. I'm not sure much about his skill set. Best corner available. I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about him, like I said. A lot of the players in the 6th and 7th round I'm not going to know too much about unless they're like sleepers that I personally have already looked at, and most of those guys are at wide receiver, like Frank Darby. Or, like, I don't know who else, but most guys like Frank Darby. I know the Chargers' new head coach is Brandon Staley, and he's not much of an offensive guy. I forget who their offensive coordinator is. Let me check. All right, so Joe Lombardi is expected to be the new Chargers offensive coordinator, I think. I'm going to take Jalen Darden. I think he's just a cool player, really, and in the 7th round, that's all you can ask for. I know that's a really dumb logic. But he can line up in the backfield, slot, outside. You can put him in motion. You can do a lot of fun things with him. I feel like he'd be a fun to watch with Justin Herbert. You can get him the ball in space, make a couple guys miss. And in the 7th round, why not take a chance on him? He could be a kick returner, punt returner, 5'9", small guy, high potential. I normally say this about a lot of drafts, but this one, if I was a Chargers fan, I'd be really happy. I know some of you guys may disagree, but a lot of these picks I really, really like. Rashawn Slater, Wyatt Davis, you get guys to be there for at least the next 4 or 5 years, and if they turn into Pro Bowlers or All-Pros within those 5 years, you got 2 guys that you can put through Herbert's duration of his career with him. You need linemen that you can count on for his entire career. And if both these guys turn into that, you'll be extremely happy. So I like those first 2 picks a lot. You can go defense next year. But I really think you need to bolster up the O-line this year. I really like Rashawn Slater. He has high versatility, high potential. A lot of people have him at OT1 now over Penei Sewell, that's high praise. And I like Wyatt Davis. He's fallen a little bit, but I still like him in the second round. Israel Mukuamu, I like him to maybe be an outside corner in the future. Not necessarily the most fast corner. He's 6'3", he's big. Maybe you can get some potential out of him. He's fun. Like, you can use him in press probably. But I don't think he's going to be a superstar corner. Just kind of a guy that can be a CB2, hopefully. And they need to find a CB1 maybe next year's draft. But I think for now he's a good pick because Casey Hayward and Chris Harris are still there for another year. Marvin Wilson, talk about him a lot. I'm not going to go into too much depth if you watch any of my other videos, but I like him a lot. Hasn't had a great 2020, and he should have more draft stock than he does now. I think in the third round it's incredible potential. Sage Surratt, I like him a lot. Keenan Allen in the slot, Mike Williams outside, Sage Surratt outside. When Mike Williams, if you don't re-sign him, you got Sage Surratt and Keenan Allen. I like Sage Surratt in the fourth round. This is a deep wide receiver class. You can find talent here. I like Sage Surratt. He's very good at high pointing the ball. He's just a little slow probably. Interesting to see what his 40 would be. I know there's no combine, but he'll have a pro day probably. Drake Jackson to replace Mike Pouncey if he doesn't re-sign him, and you go Dan Feeney and maybe Drake Jackson learns for a year, or you just start him over Dan Feeney outright. Who knows? Malcolm Kunsey, I think is how you say it, and just an extra edge rusher in the 6th round, I think, is good. And then Thomas Graham and Jalen Darden. I talked about Jalen Darden near the end, and Thomas Graham. Don't know too much about him, but he is a corner, and you know the Chargers will need corner depth in the future because they're probably not going to re-sign the two older guys. So that's it for the Chargers draft. Like I said, if I was a Chargers fan, I'd be really happy with this. I like this a lot. I really do. But I appreciate you guys for watching, and peace.